Hi, I'm Bob Trask. This is our weekly reset. Thank you for being with me. You know, you and I have something wonderful in common. We have a winner's DNA, and we're winning all the time, all the time. Now, I know you're going to question that right now, and I understand that you would question it. So hang with me, and I think you can understand before I'm finished that you are, in fact, winning all the time. Every so-called failure or seemingly unsurmountable object, every single one of them is just another step on the path to winning, on the path to ultimate success. So we couldn't be here. I mean, when you think about it, if you look back over your life at the things you've attempted and the things you failed at and the things that didn't work out, whether they were a business thing or a marriage or grades in school or your ability to make a certain team or whatever else it is that you wanted to do and you tried to do it and it failed. You could have then labeled yourself as a failure. Well, let's talk about that. See, but unless we were winning all the time, we couldn't be here. We couldn't be here. Not unless we couldn't be here if failure was fatal. We couldn't be here. Uh, Our ancestors were winners, and they were winning all the time. They were our ancestors. There were other people living with them at that time that didn't make it, and those were eaten by tigers or died of diseases or starved to death. And yet, uh, our ancestors made it because they were winners. And we inherited that. That's in our DNA. That's actually in our DNA. And if you're like me, you've probably failed so many times, you've maybe wanted to give up. And the danger then is that we might develop a self-identity as losers. And then we think that winning is either too difficult or impossible. In this talk today, please let me encourage you to see yourself as blessed. You're blessed with absolute potential for success in everything that you can dream of. And regardless of an attitude that might be looking in a different direction, you have been winning all the time. I know that because you haven't given up on life. You're still here. You're here listening to this talk. And you're improving every day, every day. Maybe not as greatly as you'd like, but it is the way it is. You're improving every day. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. Inside of you, there's a calling to be, to do, and to have something beyond what you are right now. Now, I said I was going to talk about something that I normally don't talk about. I was going to take a little bit of a risk or a big risk because I might lose some people in this. But today, we're looking at the fact that we may have just started a third world war because our president bombed Iran. And I've heard people say, well, you know, you had to bomb Iran because they're the home of terrorists. They're the greatest proponent of terrorism in the world. That they, you know, they're these people who have a weird, strange, different religious belief than we do, and you can never trust them because their ideas is just to kill anybody that doesn't agree with them, and on and on and on. And we had gone to Iran and arranged to have peaceful negotiations, and we had some sanctions against them, and we were lifting those sanctions as they complied with certain ideals or ideas about non-nuclear proliferation, and we were getting along fine. And then our president undid all of that, threw it all out, and said, "No, we're not going to trust them. We don't want to have. We're not going to go to the negotiating table with them." And then, like 2 days ago, he said, "I'm going to give them 2 weeks, and we're going to look this for 2 weeks and try to get back to the negotiating table." That was the day before yesterday, and then yesterday he bombed them. So what I'm saying here is like I can say that Trump is bad and that it was a bad decision, and I can go through all of that. But that's not. I may feel that way, and I probably do. But that's not what I'm talking about here today. What I'm saying is that there has been wars and wars and wars and wars. The United States has always been at war. We go from one war to another war to another war to another war, and every single war is a failure. Every war is a failure. When a war starts, somebody failed. When we bombed Iran, we failed. We failed because if there isn't a way to come to the table and figure out our differences and make peace, if there's not a way to do that, then we're done on the planet because we'll ultimately have a nuclear war. We're finished here as a human race. There has to be a way to come to the table and negotiate and talk to each other and to see each other as human beings. That person sitting across the negotiating table from me, that person has a mother and a father who love them. They have children, they have spouses, they have family, people who love them. They are human beings, they are people. And what they want is the same thing everyone else wants. They want a full and fulfilling life. They want to be able to feed their families and have good health care and live in a decent place and have a roof over their heads. And they want their kids to grow up and create their families and have joy. And they want to know that everything is secure in their lives. We don't give them that. We don't give them that. Somebody might say, well, what has Iran done for us in the last 30 years? What have we done for Iran in the last 30 years? What have we done for China? What have we done for North Korea? What have we done for Russia? What have we done for anybody except for ourselves? And we have a president who says America first. He really is saying America only. But America only doesn't work. We live in a global village. And until we start treating each other like fellow villagers, like family in the human family, we're done. And so today's talk is about being winners, but I want us to know that until we each one feel like a winner in our personal lives, we can't be effective at changing anything else around us. We can't be effective in changing anything else around us. And you are a winner, and I am a winner. And we're winning all the time. Every time we failed, it was another step toward ultimate success. Now, perhaps you failed and failed and failed, and I could say, well, each one of those is a step toward ultimate success. And you're saying, no, I eventually closed the business because it just wasn't working. Who are you now compared to when you started? Did you grow? Did you learn? Did you expand in wisdom? Are you better able now to decide what kind of a business to go into and to run that business differently? Yes, the answer is yes. You grew. Every step along the way that feels like a failure is a step toward ultimate success. And and when you look at your precious goal, whatever that is, and you say, you know what, Bob, the odds are stacked against me. I would say to you, you're right. The odds are most definitely stacked against you. And they're supposed to be. They're supposed to form a puzzle. They're supposed to form a tangle that you can't really see your way through. That's supposed to happen. And you are supposed to change. The tangle isn't supposed to change. You are supposed to change such that you see yourself as a winner who can go through that tangle and get through it. I was guiding a wilderness expedition in Canada, northern Canada. And I said one morning, we're going to climb this mountain. We were camped under a mountain, and it wasn't a really high mountain. Well, we're going to climb this mountain today, and we're going to go to the very top. So everybody get your packs on. We made some lunches and we got all ready and we started the hike. And we hiked across a little bit of the flat and then we started up. Now it was a pretty steep hike and it was a rainforest and it was raining and and it was cold. And yet what I was trying to build inside of these people, not trying, I wasn't building it inside. What these people were building inside of themselves on that. Thank you, Bob, for correcting that. what those people were building inside of themselves as we went up that mountain. And sometimes we were going over the top of big downfall and logs, and sometimes they were above us and we were going under them, and we were going through head-high ferns and slogging our way up there. And about midway through the day, we came out into a little flat, a little bit of a flat, not really big, maybe the size of a basketball court. And well, I was the first one up into the flat, and there was a big log laying there, and there was a giant grizzly bear, big golden yellow grizzly bear, ripping chunks out of this log, looking for grubs or worms or something in there. And she looked up and saw me and just stood there. Oh, oh, huffed a couple of times, and then she stopped, dropped down, and she walked off into the forest. Oh, I never will forget that sight. That was such a gift to me. Unfortunately, the rest of them didn't get to see that, but they came soon afterwards and they saw what had happened to the log, and so they all sat down around there and opened their packs, and it was raining softly, and they took out their sandwiches or whatever and ate lunch, and we sat there and talked. And after a while, so I said, okay, let's get going. And one guy said, where are we going? I said, we're going that direction. So, because that'll be the way to go to the top of the mountain. We're going to be there so very, very soon. Within the next hour, we're going to be at the top. And he said, we're going to go that direction? I said, yes. And he said, we can't go that direction. I said, why? He said, look at it. When you looked at it from where we were, the trees were so close together that it was like dog hair, just thick, and there's ferns, and it was impossible. He said, we can't go through there. I said, of course we can. He said, I don't think we can go through there. I said, trust me. So we got all up, put on our packs, and we walked across the opening to the trees. And when we got to the trees, we could see that they weren't in fact a blanketed, tangled mess. We could see that there was actually openings in between them, and we could walk between them. The reason I give you that example is because you and I can't see what's in front of us. We only see what we suspect is in front of us, and that it's too much and that we can't get through it. Oh, God, I have a dream, but I see this. There's so many problems with that. But we need to go approach it, start into it. And then we see that we can win. And can we get to the mountaintop? Yes, we can get to the mountaintop. How will we do that? One step at a time. We can't eat a watermelon in one bite. We eat it a bite at a time, and pretty soon the whole watermelon's gone. We can't climb that mountain in one step. We have to take each step and look at each problem and find out how to get around it. This little gully, that big rock, this down fallen log. Each one is a problem. Each one's an obstacle. And we'll get past it, and eventually we will be on top of the mountain. And we were on top of the mountain. Vince Lombardi, great football coach, one of the greatest ever, said, winning is not a sometimes thing. It's an all-time thing. You don't win once in a while. You don't do things right once in a while. You did them right all the time. And then he said, winning is a habit. Unfortunately, so is losing. Now, when he says winning is a habit, what does that mean to me? What does that mean to you? Winning is a habit. It means that if I'm going through that forest and it's raining and it's cold and it's miserable and it's wet and I'm slipping and falling and I'm coming to a big log and it's in the way and I have to crouch and go under, and my pack caught on it as I went under, and I had to sit back down and put my pack back on, and the straps came loose and I had to put my straps back on, and then I went back up and I slipped and fell again, and then there was a big rock, and then there was a steep path and it went almost vertically, and there were just problems, one problem right after another. And I just kept moving forward. And I kept seeing each problem that I overcame as a win, each one as a win. Then after a while, I get to the place where I say, I can do this. I can do this because, as Vince Lombardi said, winning is a habit. Let's get the winning habit, you and me. Unfortunately, so is losing. Some of us have the losing habit. And we've adapted to it and we've adjusted to it. And we've said, hey, there's a lot of things I want to do, but I can't do them. I just know I can't do them. You can't? I wish I could remember right now the name of that beautiful man who was born without arms or on out legs. Like his arms are no arms, no legs, just I mean little stubs. And I would like to feel bad for him. I would like to feel regret for his situation. Don't even go there. This guy who goes around the world and stands on stages or sits on stages on his butt with his little leg stumps out and talks to audiences of kids, talks to audiences everywhere, and people are in tears. He is so powerful as a motivator because he says, don't ever give up. Don't ever look at your downfalls and don't ever look at your problems and your weaknesses. Don't ever go there. You are you are a winner. You have given the in winner's DNA. He swims. This guy swims. He doesn't have any arms or legs. He swims. He plays soccer. He's an amazing human being. And it's fortunate that he was born without arms and legs because he has changed tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of lives because of his problems. What can you do because of your problems? If you were to accept them and stop regretting them and stop, what could I do with my problems? I got a lot of them. I got a lot of physical deficiencies, a lot of physical problems in my body, things that don't work right, a twisted arm that I can't use for a lot of things. I got a lot of things like that. You've got a lot of things like that. We've all got a lot of things like that. Everybody's imperfect and they're perfect in their imperfection. And if we know that and we stop second guessing ourselves and saying, well, I don't think I can do that, just go forward. Just put on your pack and walk into the forest. If we just do that, then we find out who we really are. Every worthy vision is going to seem impossible in the beginning because it's supposed to. Your personal goal is a part of you. You know that? Your personal goal, your vision that's coming up inside of you intuitively, that ache inside that says, I want to go do, be, and have this, that that's 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 a part of you. You can put a lid on it and bolt it down so that you don't feel it anymore, but it's still there. It's still part of you. I know people who love horses. They want to ride. They want to have a ranch in Montana and they want to have horses and they want to be able to put on their cowboy hat and boots and go out there and climb on a horse and go out and ride on the prairies all day. Well, gee whiz, they don't live in Montana and they don't have enough money to buy a ranch and they can't get a job on a ranch. And so they can't. They can go to the riding stables and ride horses. There are people almost everywhere that have horses. And if you go get to know them, they'll maybe go trail riding with you. I have friends that go trail riding. You can find people. You want to go out on a boat, but you don't have a boat. You can find somebody that has a boat and befriend them and get out on a boat. There's nothing to stop you except your attitude. So can we just admit these three truths? Number one, life is growth. And that's what happens when we go into the forest, when we move into our problems, we grow. And if we stop growing, this is part of number one, life is growth. If we stop growing, we start dying. I'm not sure that's true physically, though it probably is. It's sure as hell true in terms of who you are. If we stop growing, we start dying. Number two, we're only growing when we're winning. We're not growing when we're losing. So we can't afford to lose. We have to be able to see every little bump, every little failure, every little setback as a win. We have to learn how to teach ourselves that, because not only do we build clarity, courage, and confidence, self-confidence and confidence in the world, not only do we build courage, clarity, courage, and confidence, but we also get the habit of becoming winners, and then things get easier and the big challenges become smaller. And number three, this is so important. We are always winning when we're following our bliss. That wonderful fountain of enthusiasm that's trying to come up inside of me and inside of you to say, let's go forward. Let's do this thing. We can do this thing. And if you can't find that in yourself, then get a team together and say, here's what I'd like to do, but I don't have the enthusiasm. Help me get the enthusiasm. And they can all do jumping jacks or cheer or wave pom-poms or do whatever they need to do, feed you coffee or hot chocolate and get you going. Get people who are on your team who can get you going toward your bliss. Winning is assured when we're following our bliss. Life is growth. We stop growing, we start dying. We're only growing when we're winning. Winning is assured when we're following our bliss. And by now we know that we're never going to be free of our problems. But need they be so tangled? No, they don't need to be so tangled. Our paths will always be frustrated by tangles of problems, but as the minute we start walking into them, then they start becoming untangled. And I guess we'll need a GPS to guide us through that maze. So let's talk about what that GPS is. Now I know, because I've taught many, many thousands of people, how to find that GPS. And please know that we're being individually, and here's part of the GPS. You have to trust this or it doesn't work. You have to know that we're being individually gifted. You and I are both individually gifted. You might be listening to me right now and saying, gee, he does that so easily. He speaks so fluently and so easily, and he's a real motivator. That's because that's who I am. That's just because that's who I am. There's something that you are that's every bit as strong. You're being individually gifted and individually guided to realize that gift. Individually guided and individually gifted. And I think it helps sometimes when we see others who, like us, were trying and trying, but they never gave up. Abraham Lincoln was defeated for Illinois state legislature. He started a business, and his business partner died, and the business went down. He lost his run for Congress in 1843, and he lost again in 1848, 5 years later. He lost his bid to the Senate in 1855. He ran for vice president in 1856 and lost. He ran for the Senate in 1859 and lost. And then he became the president because he didn't give up, because he didn't say, oh, well, I guess I'm a failure. I guess I can never make it in government. He became the president, and he held the Union together, and he wrote the proclamation, or the Emancipation Proclamation that freed the slaves. He did that because he didn't give up. What can you do if you don't give up? He said, my great concern is not whether you have failed, but whether you're content with your failure. That's his great concern. He said, to achieve great success is proof to all that others can achieve it as well. I'm sorry, I said that. To that some achieve great success. That some achieve great success is proof to all that others can achieve it as well. And he said finally, please bear in mind that your own resolution to succeed is more important than any other thing. I have a congenital aversion to failure. Let me just give you a list of other people who, like Abraham Lincoln, maybe didn't have any education because he didn't have any education. Maybe they didn't have the proper education, but they just went on and did what they were supposed to do anyway. Quentin Tarantino, Walt Disney, John D. Rockefeller, Julie Adams, Coco Chanel, Charles Dickens, Thomas Edison, Enzo Ferrari, Charles Lindbergh, Jack London, Claude Monet, and a bunch of high school dropouts like me, Johnny Depp, Kate Perry, Nicolas Cage, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Tom Cruise, Charlize Theron, Charlie Sheen, Nicole Kidman, Robert Downey Jr., Kate Winslet, Marilyn Monroe, Demi Moore, Marlon Brando, Christina Applegate. And I just looked these up, and there's 62 more of these. There's 89 of those people who became successful without the education that would help them do that. They did that because they trusted what was going on inside them, and they let life educate them. As they made mistakes, they said, "Well, that didn't work. Let's try this." And they're all wealthy. They're all famous. They're all completely successful. And the answer to how they became successful is as simple as breathing. They followed their dreams and let life educate them. They all have the problems anyone has who's chasing their dreams, but unlike some, they saw setbacks as part of the process, and they saw it never as being terminal. And when their plans worked or didn't work, they backed off and reworked them. Michael Jordan said, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed." So we can't get past our problems because we don't see them clearly. Because we stand back away and you say, "Gee, there's all those problems." Challenge them, jump in there. Start wading into those problems and see how well it happens. There's no way to learn to swim is sitting in a classroom. The only way to learn to swim is to get in the water and to be a winner, a winner, a winner. Zig Ziglar, great master motivator. If you don't see yourself as a winner, said Zig, then you cannot perform as a winner. You were born to win. But to be a winner, you have to plan to win, prepare to win, and expect to win. And the proof's all around us. There's all these people with no more ability than we have, and they made it because they had those three wonderful things: clarity, courage, and confidence. Clarity, courage, and confidence. The 3 C's. Clarity, courage, and confidence. Well, how do we get those? We get those by walking into the forest and acknowledging every single step as a win. So do we want to become more abundant? Do we want to have better health? We now want to have better relationships? Then let's go do it. Bill Rogers, great mind, said, "To be a consistent winner means preparing, not just one day or 1 month or even 1 year, but for a lifetime. That change your identity and become a winner." Venus Williams, as you know, she's a magnificent tennis player, just won all the matches that are possible to win. She said, "Some people say I have an attitude. Maybe I do. But I think that you have to. You have to believe in yourself when no one else does. And that makes you a winner right there. That makes you a winner right there." My friends, this world's got some problems right now. I mean, we've started a war. We've got millions of kids around the world starving to death, people going hungry, families in desolation, Wars going on. Here in America, we have huge problems with our government, with our population, with our people. There's problems all over the world. There's problems, huge problems, and no one's doing anything about it. Well, there's people doing things about it, but the world's run mostly by men, and men live by testosterone. And if you don't like what somebody's doing, you try to talk them into doing it your way. And if they don't, you just bomb them. You just bomb them. You just start a war. We have to be able to do it differently if we're going to save our planet and if we're going to save it for our kids and our grandkids and for future generations. We have to do it differently. Let's not be those people who someone says later, well, they knew what was going on and they did nothing. They didn't do anything. I'm not going to be that person. I'm doing something right now. I'm going to keep doing it. What is that we can do? We can shine our individual lights as winners. We can be bold and strong and loving, loving, loving. Love is the most powerful form of force in the world, in the universe. Love. We could have won all those countries that are our enemies. We could have won all of them through love. But we have to walk softly and carry a big stick, said FDR. But our current president says, just carry a big stick. Don't worry about walk softly. You and me, we have an opportunity and perhaps an obligation to step up. So when you walk down the street, give a smile to that other person. When you see somebody in the supermarket, say hi, hello, how are you doing today? Let's break down the walls between us and start communicating our love. Let's start bringing our human family together. If I can't go to Iran or Russia or China and do that, or North Korea, but I can do it in my community, and so can you. And so we have to step up and be winners, and we have to find out what that is, but that burning urge inside of us, and follow that bliss, and do something with our lives that when it's all over, we can look back and say, did that. That's who I was. I was that. I was part of the problem. And then I became part of the solution. And I lived all the rest of my life as part of the solution. Well, I'm going to do that. I ask you to join me. And I thank you for being with me today. Thanks. Go to bobtrask.com and leave a donation so I can continue my work, please. Thank you. And just know that I'm here, and be with me next week and every week, and know that we're a team and we're winning